movement along demand curve is called a change in the quantity demanded. Underline that like 18 times. If you're just moving from point A to point B, there's a change in price. It changes the quantity demanded. That's change, increase, decrease in quantity demanded. Something happens. There's a flood, and you have a shift in the entire position. Something happens like gas prices increase exponentially. So I don't even know what question I'm asking you here, so don't worry about it. It's not really a question. I think in the old days I'd have them write this down, but I don't anymore. This is a very old slide. This is the fun part. So, okay, we'll come back to that quantity demanded and change in demand tomorrow for review. But what can happen that can shift a whole curve to the right or to the left? That can increase or decrease demand? So there are several factors, and the first one's the easy one. This is the no-brainer one. This is the duh, right? It's income. So, you have, look at this nice iPhone 10. I guess I need to update this now. You should see where I started this. It was like a telephone. So it's like a pay-as-you-go phone right over here. You can still get an Uber, right? Got apps. So we call this inferior and normal goods. What's another example of a normal and an inferior good? So I'll give you an example, but don't use my example. So a Toyota Corolla and a Tesla, right? So you have two things that do the same thing, but one of them is more of a premium and one of them is more of a basic, right? So you can think about generics versus name brands, nice versus ghetto, dope versus ratchet. How do you communicate with the kids, Mike? Well, it's magic. I know all their words. I don't know all their words. I know one that you use all these over and over and over again.
What is it?
It's the F word.
Oh.
This one guy's walking by me and he says, it's ducking hotter than ducking duck. And none of those words really worked as far as an adjective. So your examples here, I see a few comes in. All right, DVD or Netflix. I like it. Computer or console. Old Bix TV.
I meant box versus like a flat screen.
Oh, versus like we call them displays now. It's not really a television anymore. It's a display because I can use this for computer, or we can stream shows through it. Yeah, I get it. All right, so that's income. That's the first factor that can change demand for something. The second is consumer expectations. So whether or not we expect a good to increase or decrease in price in the future greatly affects demand for that good today. What are one of today's examples of consumer expectations? Well, let me give you 3 examples. Airline tickets. Buy them in advance because you know that later on they're going to be more expensive. An annual pass to Magic Mountain. Stocks, like in companies, shares. People will buy today anticipating an increase or decrease in price later on. Precious metals, I want one of these Starburst. When you have demand for the yellow and the orange ones?
I love the yellow ones.
Do you? There's so many things wrong with you.
Then give me the yellow.
You can have the yellow, because does anybody else in here want a yellow? All that's left is yellow and orange.
Give me the yellow.
I love this
I don't
next
wanna
one.
get in the camera.
Yeah, you don't want to be on camera. For my, I'll be showing this in 6 years. I'm like, you don't want to see that student. She's hideous. Oh wait, you want both these nasty yellow ones.
Yeah.
So here are the correct order of preferences with Starburst, the original ones. It's cherry, strawberry, orange, lemon. And if you have a different opinion, you're wrong. That's generally I think if we took a poll, there would be all these people that had like those 3 in whatever order. And then there would be one person that has lemon at the top of the list, and that'd be Yo Gabba Gabba. So population, more people, more socks. More people, more forks. So population increase or decrease can change demand. The reason I use this graphic is because for a lot of times I just don't wear shoes to school, but I keep a pair here. They're older than you.
They're so clean.
I know. I bought them at the mall. when I think my wife was pregnant with my son, who's older than you. And the movie theaters were where the food court is now at our mall. That's how long ago that was. Yeah, and that whole corner where the theaters are was just a field. So population, increase, decrease population, boom. That's it. It doesn't even merit a question. All right, Gabby, for those Starbursts, you need to answer this question. So consumer tastes and preferences are probably the biggest single shifter of demand in our culture. Like someday, somebody famous is going to wear a Puma, and then everybody's going to want a Puma. Status and image, consumer taste and preferences. So if Vans were it, now when did Puma come in? Like when Michael Coom wore Pumas and he got arrested, He was on TV, it was viral. So, okay, you need to name all of these brands just by looking at, go.
Hot Cheetos, Louis V, the Monster, Chick-fil-A, and then Audi.
Oh, that's the Olympics, sorry.
No way.
It's not the Olympics.
I thought it was Audi.
It is Audi, I was just messing with you. And this is Las Vegas, who's Louis V?
You know what it is.
See how pervasive advertising is in our society. Like, did you know all those? I didn't know Louis Vuitton. I didn't know. I'd seen the stuff before in like airports, because back in the 70s and 80s, Asians would come over to the United States just to buy luggage at airports with Louis Vuitton. And it was like, like all the stacking boxes, and they have a porter pushing the luggage. That's where Louis Vuitton started, as like designer
They're just bags.
suitcases, right? And then now they have like belts and, Converse,
I don't
whatever.
like purses.
So this is a huge one in our society. I don't even know, which question did I ask? Did I write a question, or did I ask you to name all these companies? Is that what I asked you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So yeah, this is number one, and we'll come back to this too, that like people's demand will change because of their relative importance they place on things. There's those kids that are like, where'd you get that sweatshirt? I got it at Goodwill for $1, and this other kid walks in and he's like, I only wear these $70, sweatshirts that say, Kobe the GOAT or something, right?
Kobe the goat.
Kobe the GOAT. I don't know what that just jumped in here. Now, this is my favorite, the last two, and then we're done. So I want to talk about what a complementary good is. What goes with chips? Yes. What's a complementary good for a car? Gas, yeah. A boom box in the trunk.
Window tint.
Different tires, different rims, tint, air freshener, all those things kind of go with a car, right? What's a substitute for cereal for breakfast?
Coffee.
Coffee, good. So I was looking at like a bagel.
Waffles.
Well, thank you. Here we go. Pancakes. What else?
What
Did
What about like?
I had oatmeal this morning. What?
What about like eggs?
Oh yeah, we forgot eggs. My God, like the breakfast food, eggs. Yes. So those are all. Well, actually, okay. I'm on to the next slide already. So there's complements. So a change in the price of a complementary good can change demand for this good. Now, what I was talking about the other one was a change in the price of a substitute good. So a substitute for corn chips and salsa could be potato chips and like ranch dip. I like French onion dip. Doesn't even have to be French onion, but that's what we used to make when I was growing up. You take Lipton onion soup mix and you cream it with cream cheese. It takes forever and your arm hurts, but it's really good. And all the chips break off. So a substitute for a car could be another mode of transportation. Skateboard. Or a bicycle, right? So a substitute for hot Cheetos. Thank you, because that's what you were eating yesterday, right? Yes. So the demand for a substitute can change, but if you have a change in price, what's a substitute appetizer for chips and dip? So that's what the question asked. So that takes us through shifters in demand. We're going to watch one of the guys that does those great ed puzzles tomorrow, Mr. Sinner, Mr. Clifford, and he's going to talk about these shifters. I call them non-price determinants, things that can change up demand, and it'll be a good review. And they'll also talk about quantity demanded versus a change in demand. So that's the first one. We do demand first, than we do supply. Because you get like demand, supply, they come together, they either come together and make price, or they miss and they create shortages and surpluses. So that's the price determination process. It's not Mr. Burns on The Simpsons making prices just high enough to be unfair to Gabby, right? So when somebody complains about prices, this is, I hope you guys take this for the rest of your life. We hear somebody griping about prices, and I gripe about the cost of things, believe me. But when other people do it, just to be the jerk in the room, I say, well, price is just a reflection of a good or service's relative scarcity in a competitive market. And then I duck because they start throwing stuff at me. But that's really what it is. It's a reflection of a good's relative scarcity. So there's, desks are scarce, always, but,
Why is that so loud?
that was the dance break. Good timing. But I don't see any gold bars in here. A bar of gold is worth thousands and thousands of dollars. So they're pretty scarce, right? So some things are more scarce than others. So price is really a reflection of a good or service's relative scarcity in a competitive market. So it's supply and demand that makes prices. Now there are other things like taxes, and shortages and surpluses that can affect that. But that's really what it is. I go like this, supply and demand, and that's where we're going to be heading. I do demand first because it's the easiest for us. Like Gabby demanded water yesterday. It was Takis and a lollipop and some yellow Starburst. What's a substitute for Starburst?
Skittles.
Very good. What is a complement to Starburst? What goes with Starburst? Monster, Rockstar. I don't know.
Water.
Water, yes. Something to get it off of you. A toothbrush. Because that stuff's going. I love Starburst, but I was thinking about it one time for a long time. And I'm like, man, if we had a little starving child who didn't know, Western snack food, like some kid somewhere, God forbid, starving. And we're like, I don't have anything, I have a Starburst, maybe he wants a Starburst, it's food. And we give him this little waxy cube. He's gonna go, what the hell is that? It doesn't look like food, it doesn't look like an apple or, a piece of chicken. It's this little waxy square, but we eat them. And we don't even care, we're like, they're good. I think I tasted banana in candy before an actual banana. Like a Laffy Taffy banana.
Ew, those are gross.
Why am I nice to you?
The strawberry ones are
I like
good.
All right, so that's it for today.